Greetings, everybody. I'm here at Rose Hills Memorial Park, right at the corner of Rose Hills Road and Cleota Street. This is in gate number 9, section 7. I want to talk about Mr. Samir Abdul Muqaddin. Many of you, perhaps most of you, wouldn't recognize this name, but if I were to say the name Marilyn Monroe, then that would perk up your interest. Well, this guy had a lot to do with her case in the coroner's office. Marilyn is probably one of the most talked about of celebrity deaths in history. And the cover-up that went behind her death, i.e. her murder, is really what it was, just won't go away after 60 years. She died August 5th, 1962 at her home in Brentwood, supposedly suicide. But Mr. Samir Muqaddin, who was a 22-year-old young coroner's deputy aide at the time, he was working with the case. He was present in the autopsy room with Dr. Noguchi. At the time, he went by the name of Lionel Grandison. He was married with 3 kids, and he was the only African-American coroner's deputy working for the county. This was the early days of equal rights, and he got in on it, and he well deserved the job. He was a hard worker. He began working for the coroner's office in 1960. He had established a lot of rapport with many in the black community. I know that when Minister Malcolm X arrived in town, I think it was about 1961 or so, and he was seeking justice for somebody who was shot and killed by the LAPD. And Mr. Samir Muqaddin was the liaison between the coroner's office and the general public. And he really helped smooth things out with many who were outraged by this fella's death. Stokes was his last name. I'll do his video some other time. But let me show you where Samir Muqaddin is buried. At this time, at the time of the Marilyn Monroe case and right into the 1970s, he went by the name of Lionel Grandison. So you'll probably find information about him on the internet. I've been up and down this same area where Google says he's buried, and it appears to me that the family never got a stone. Families do that sometimes. They leave they leave the place of their loved ones unmarked. So as far as I can tell, he's buried right here, right in this plot of ground here. I already put a stone by his grave. This man was a man of honesty and truthfulness. I could call him Lionel Grandison from this point on, because that was his name during this time. And Mr. Lionel didn't help his career much, because, not his fault, he was just a man of honesty and truth. His boss, Dr. Curfey, let's just say he made some very, very bureaucratic and politically correct decisions about a number of celebrity cases. I know that with the death of George Reeves, who used to play Superman, George Reeves' mother didn't accept the finding of suicide, and she kept demanding more be done and an additional autopsy be done. And finally, according to Lionel Grandison, Dr. Curfey, without the family's permission, cremated George Reeves. Now, that tells you what kind of a guy he was. And Lionel, you see, there were some serious questions about the Marilyn Monroe case, things that didn't add up. And Dr. Curfey didn't appreciate Lionel questioning him. I know that when Lionel was responsible to sign Marilyn's death certificate, but he wanted the correct psychology reports, the medical reports, the police reports to accompany the death certificate, because that was, that was protocol. And Dr. Curfey said, no, don't worry about that. I'll get it whenever. You sign this death certificate now. You sign it right now, or else something's going to happen to you. So poor Lionel, he signed it under duress. The really disturbing part was a few days afterwards, Lionel was a married man with 3 kids, and he was met by somebody who gave him a credit card and said, look, I know you've been through a lot, and I know that financially you're probably struggling here. Here's a credit card. Don't worry about it. Just, charge what you need. So he bought some tires, because he really needed tires on his car. Turned around that was a trap. It was a trap, and it was used to say that in his termination meeting, he was told that he stole that credit card, and he didn't. He gave a long explanation of, he just honestly fell into this. He didn't know he was being set up, but he was. He was also accused, apparently, of stealing from corpses. He didn't do that. So many, many years later, he came out with this book, co-authored by his son, Lionel Grandison Jr., Memoirs of a Deputy Coroner. I just reviewed it again yesterday, the case of Marilyn Monroe, and it's pretty convincing. The official story about Marilyn's death doesn't hold up. But Lionel Grandison was one of the early voices that was sounding the alarm about this. And he paid for it with his career. Eventually, his marriage dissolved because his wife didn't want him to have anything to do with the case. He had Marilyn's diary, and she said, you better get rid of that thing because it's poison. And he stood for truth at dear cost to himself. He eventually converted to Islam, and that's why he took the name Samir Muqaddin. But he's a great man, and he told the truth. And I'll put a link to this book and some other things in the description. R.I.P. Mr. Samir. I'm glad that you spoke up for Marilyn when it wasn't the politically correct thing to do so. Great man, Samir Muqaddin, Lionel Grandison, great man.